Can you keep a secret?
Changing hearts and minds.
Changing hearts and minds.
Welcome to Change Your POV podcast. You're listening to Changing Hearts and Minds, a show about reviving the warrior spirit and remembering the past to improve our future. I'm your host, Jeff Adamick. Let's get this party started.
Ladies and gentlemen, am I totally screwed or what? You're funny.
I want to discuss all this behavior.
Let me out of here!
Hey guys, this is your host, Jeff, and welcome to Changing Hearts and Minds. Today we have another less joke and jackassery, but more on the serious side guest on. He himself, I'm sure he participates in jackassery and joking around, but not today, not what we're going to be talking about. So let me take you back a little bit. For most of you listeners, you guys are veterans yourselves, and you've spent time overseas, and you've had the unfortunate circumstances of seeing your brothers and your sisters not come home. For those of you who are back and were back home when these heroes didn't come home, you got to see that the attention and the sensitivity that the military puts into making sure that the family's taken care of. One thing that's for sure is when a family loses their most important member and somebody who's died in a manner that is heartbreaking for America as a whole, they do get a little bit of the praise and attention and that they need from the military at first. But what happens very quickly is things start to fade away, and people don't necessarily forget, but other people's lives go on, the military rolls on, and a lot of times these families and these organizations, or these families and these individuals who are affected, they get forgotten, and not forgotten on purpose and not in a malicious way, but they get forgotten and things slip through and things get very, very difficult for them, as if it wasn't hard enough already. So today I have Mike Updike. Mike is joining us today from North Carolina. Yeah, he joined the Army in 2000. And went to basic training, became an 11 Mike, and initially served in 112th Infantry Battalion in Fort Carson, Colorado as a Bradley driver. In 2002, he attended SF selection, that's Special Forces selection for all you pogues, and he graduated as a Special Forces 18 Bravo Weapons Sergeant. Yes, I know, that is the second Weapons Sergeant I've had on the show, and the second third group guy that I've had on the show. And yes, I know I was an 18 Bravo, and I was a third group guy, and I was a Weapons Sergeant. But here's the bottom line, it's my podcast. And when you become a podcast host, you can have your cook and your pack clerk friends on. I'm going to have all my friends. He's been an ODA member, an SF instructor, and he transitioned recently in 2010 to being an SF warrant officer, but we're not going to hold that against him. He has served as an assistant detachment commander as an SF warrant officer, and currently in his free time, he supports Special Operations Survivors Organization, Real American Heroes, and that's real spelled with 2 E's, if you see where I'm going with this, and Warriors on the Water. For Special Ops Survivors, he is a Special Ops Survivors Outdoors team leader. And Special Ops Survivors can be found at www.specialopssurvivors, that's SPESIALOPSSURVIORS.org. Welcome to the show, Mike Updike.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on the show and to be able to talk about this great organization for what we do. And, You hit it on nail on the head when you talked about our brothers going across seas and perishing, and the military taking care of them for a good part of their initial in the initial happenings, but that long-term care is difficult for the military to keep hold of. There's not a lot of organizations out there that take care of specifically military spouses or significant others. And Special Ops Survivors is one of those organizations, and they do a phenomenal job to make sure that they are remembered as a family, but also their hero is recognized, and that's kind of where we step in and remember the heroes.
Yeah, I mean, well said. You guys know more over at your organization with dealing with this than I do. It's not that I'm without having any experience with losing brothers and sisters. but I haven't really gotten into the long-term care as you guys have. So let's talk about you a little bit though, Mike. Tell me a little bit about you that I didn't go over in the opening, and that you are able to talk about considering the nature of your job now. But what got you, since this is a on the water kind of thing, let's talk a little bit about where you come from, what makes you interested in being out in the water, and your history with fishing.
Well, I grew up in Wisconsin, so it's quite outdoorsy. Grew up fishing, hunting, and anything outdoors. I grew up on a farm, so we were always outside. If we were in the house, our mom and dad would kick us out of the house and say, "Go outside and play." So, it was instilled in our early childhood to be out in the woods and kind of fend for yourselves, if you will. And hunting and fishing it was an everyday thing for us. And as I grew in the military, after I joined in 2000, it kind of went away. Being a private in the military, it's kind of tough to get out there and fish and hunt. And the hunting I haven't really got back into, but the fishing, that's been sustained throughout my entire military career. Started out in Colorado trout fishing through the rivers, 11-mile canyon out there by Colorado Springs, and it has just grown as I came to the East Coast to start bass fishing. And you know, there's something about being in the outdoors that that creates that natural experience of just being calm. I mean, just being outdoors is just a phenomenal experience altogether. But it I guess you look at guys that have PTSD or anything like that, and just need some surreal time by themselves. I equate that with that's what kind of fishing does for me. I get out there in the water and I kind of just kind of let everything go, and it's me, my boat, and sometimes I have fishing partners in there, but it's just me out there in the wilderness, quiet, and it's great. I could do that for probably 9, 10 hours a day, and I love it.
Yeah, there's another host on our network, Andrew McDowell, and him and Bennett Tanton, who is the host of the flagship show on the channel. They talk about this quite a bit. Andrew McDowell does a lot of outdoors stuff, and I think it was Bennett or Andrew, and I can't remember which one it was, but he said that just because I'm off by myself doesn't mean that I need to be by myself. Sometimes I just need to reset. And so tell me what it is about being outdoors. What is it maybe from your childhood, or what was it about being outdoors that you found is a healing and a inner peace producing feeling that you get? Does this come back to your family, or does it go back to just you just enjoying being out there and becoming I say one with nature, but really that's really honestly what it is you kind of become one with nature. So how does that affect you, and how does that make you feel being out there?
I think it's a decompression time. I think it's great to just be out there and the smells are different. You smell the water, you smell the trees, and it really just it's all natural. It really decompresses you in the way that nature is. And I don't know. I think is being where you came from is 18 Bravo, and I'm an 18 Bravo. We we just like to be in the woods, or outdoors. Period. So I just think it's surreal sometimes when you're out there after blast off of a tournament, or you get out there early before daybreak and that water's slick, calm, and you just sit there and you watch the sunrise come up, and you're thankful for not only be able to see that sunrise come up, but just being out there and be able to witness, what what God has created. So it's very awesome.
I agree. Yeah, it's some of the best memories I have of times where there was absolutely no conflict, and times where there was nothing but good memories is time spent outdoors. You and I both have a common person that we know. We talked about him the other day on the phone. Real good friend of mine, and you work with him. His family and my family do a lot of we go camping quite a bit, and those times spent outdoors camping. Even with the mania of the kids running around, and his teenage girls, my teenage son, and my little girl and his dogs, our wives, all that craziness going on out there at Jordan Lake. But we have a great time, and it's definitely a moment to spend time together with someone that's not there's no stress, there's no worrying about work, none of that stuff's involved in it, and it does bring a lot back to people of this feeling of the outside world is no longer an issue, and you can kind of find peace and quiet and just good times that are spent in the woods.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so when what got you interested in helping with soft survivors? How did you first find out about this program? And if you don't mind me asking, if there was a specific incident or a family that you knew that you don't have to say their names or not, but talk us through your experiences with seeing the effects of the not the forgotten, but the slipping that happens with these families after the initial bombardment of support they get as it occurs to them through the grieving process.
So I had a really good friend of mine who just passed away recently here in February, Mark McCowan. He originally developed. We had a real men fishing team prior to helping out special ops survivors, and he lost three guys and a dog in his rotation in Afghanistan. And what he did is he wanted to give back to the families. So he went to the families and asked them what organizations helped you out the most and to provide the most support during those treacherous times as they're going through it. And there was a few taps and uh, special ops survivors helped out as well. But that's where it started. And he waited for a good 6 months to ask me to come on the team because I was deploying, coming back, and I didn't have a whole lot of time to dedicate towards this. Um, and I was honored when he asked me to come forward, to be part of the team. And it is truly an honor to be able to support an organization like Special Ops Survivors. But when he lost those guys, his teammates in the dog Phoebe in an IED, that's where it really started. And our real men fishing team didn't quite work out. I mean, it's still a 501c, but we have transitioned to help supporting special ops survivors because that's where we feel that we can affect the most. So that's what we'd like to continue to do.
What do you think? And this is purely speculation, and I'll allow you to speculate because subject matter expert. What do you think the issue is that causes a lot of times us to, again, not forget, but to allow these families to slip through the cracks? Is it because I've always thought of it as a point of people want to give them their space, not realizing that sometimes giving them their space when they've been bombarded could end up leading to them feeling abandoned, and they're not abandoned, and I don't think they ever do feel that way. But it could be something that the outside world thinks that happens to them. So what experiences have you had, or what is your opinion on how these things end up happening to these families when they get slipped through the cracks and end up being brought on even worse times than they've already had happen to them?
That's tough. So you're sitting there, and I recently experienced this with Mark McCown and his family. You know, it's how much attention do you want to be there for every minute, every moment, but you don't want them to feel smothered. And it's a hard gauge to really look at to see if you're doing too much or doing too little. So I think a lot of guys, and I saw it a lot, is guys didn't know, when is the right time to talk to them? When is the best opportunity to get in front of them? And it's case by case scenario. Every family is different. Um, Mark's family was very deep and rooted into the SF community, and Miss Candace had a lot of friends within Special Forces, and you know, really good friends. Um, so it was really hard for us to gauge when it was too much and too little. And I think when guys think they're going too much and pushing too far, they start to step back. And as work gets busy and people start going back to their normal lives, and it's not that we forget, it's there's a lot of other stuff that comes up, and it I wouldn't say it's hard to keep in touch and 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 help the family, but it's I guess it's really difficult to gauge that, that spacing and that time. Um, Personally, I've wanted to do everything for the family, and I wanted to be there for them as much as until they told me no, because I knew that he would do the same to me. If this would have happened to me, he would have been at my house every single day. Any of our brothers would have. So
Right.
I try to think about what that family member would have done for me, and that's what I want to do for them.
And I think sometimes that we also have we have to go through our own grieving process a lot of times, with our brothers when they die and lose them. And a lot of times we spend so much time. You always hear about, and this goes for anyone who loses a family member. You have that one person in the family who's the strong person, who's there to be the backbone and be the shoulder for everyone else to lean on. And that person generally doesn't go through the grieving process themselves until after all the not the sideshow, but all the events that take place post death. And I think that a lot of times that's what happens to a lot of team guys, and even regular Army unit guys. They spend so much time trying to be strong for the family, trying to be strong in front of their own family, so that their own family doesn't have to worry about the reality of what we do, or what I did and what you do. That this could be a reality for them someday. So then they finally have to deal with it at some point. They can either bury it and cause some long-term issues where they're not dealing with it, or they can go off and they can deal with it in a productive manner. So how do you think that what you do with the soft survivors is just as much an assistance to you and the other gentlemen that work with you and ladies that work with you as it is to the families, and helping you guys get a little bit of therapy, if you will? And
I absolutely. I can go back to I was telling last year I was fishing a tournament up at Real American Heroes up in Virginia, at Stafford, Virginia, and the soldier that I was honoring, his father was from Stafford, so it was a complete honor to go up there and call him up and say, hey, do you want to go pre-fish with me? Getting him on that boat with me, and obviously he accepted, but getting him on that with me was just as much healing for me as it was for him. But he would sit there and we would talk stories about Mike, and it was truly a healing experience for him to be able to sit there and talk about his son and be able to open it and be able to connect with somebody that understood what his son did and the sacrifices that he made. That was truly a rewarding experience. And we try to do that wherever we go, because even going down and some of the other tournaments we do, we bring the families in just to sit down and have dinner with them. We don't want to. I don't want to like showboat the gold stars, because that's not what it's about. What it's about is being there with them and understanding and helping them through with whatever they need. And maybe it's just lending an ear. And that is very gratifying for myself and a lot of the team guys. And we do it because we've saw a lot of our brothers be killed, and it still hurts. It still hurts a lot. So it's I would definitely say it's a healing mechanism and a gracious mechanism to be able to give back to the surviving spouses and their families.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Though I don't participate in the same type of activities as you do. I do a lot of outreach for anti-suicide, and a lot of guys who are getting out. Much like me, I got out medically retired with PTSD, and for a year I was lost when I got out of the military. I didn't know what to do. I didn't I didn't want to be out. I wanted to be back in, but just couldn't do it anymore physically and emotionally. And it took a while for me to get to a point where I was okay, and I was actually starting to do things that were more productive for my life. And what I found was that getting out, while I was going through all stuff, when I finally did get a job and get certified, and I'm working in IT and everything, and finding a new mission to take on, there were a lot of guys out there who were in the same boat that I was in, and guys in the military like what you do that go through a lot of the same loss, and we end up giving them a little bit something back by showing them that there is a way that we can heal ourselves while we're still healing others. And I found that me doing the outreach, doing the public speaking, the motivational speaking, throwing caution to the wind with the quiet professional thing, and openly letting everyone know I was an SF guy, when a lot of times it's not shunned on, but it's frowned upon. But I found the good balance of not being so boastful about being an SF guy and just being upfront, hey, I am an SF guy, but I'm also a soldier. And so what I'm doing now is out there helping others. And it does help. It does help, and it made me feel better and helped me get a long way towards healing up and feeling better about myself. And I think when you find guys like us who do this for take our free time to go out and do this kind of stuff, that's what you see the most from those people, is that they get out there and they're able to heal themselves while healing others, and we're able to pass a little bit of something on to others to try to alleviate them from the strains and pressures that we have felt. So when you go out and do the soft, how many different tournaments have you participated in with soft survivors, or different events have you participated in that have helped out some of these families?
Wow, so we've been with them for over 3 years. We've been directly helping special ops survivors, and we try to run our of course we're the outdoor team, so we like to use fishing as a venue to spread the word about special ops survivors. So we started off going to a Bassmaster Classic, and having a booth there and spreading the word of special ops survivors and selling hats to raise money, and all the money that we would raise goes directly back to the surviving spouses, whether it's for their annual summit or it's for additional educational purposes for them to continue to succeed in life, and progress in their career path. Um, but then we started getting into tournaments and honoring the soldiers. And in tournaments, we we'll fish and we'll take one of our soft guys, and we'll print up these little baseball cards of each of the hero. And we ask the wives to kind of, through their eyes, gives a little bit of story about them through their spouse's eyes, and or significant other. And we present those baseball cards throughout the tournament, and we just spread awareness, and we make sure those heroes are not forgotten. And guys, they cling on to that. Some of the other fishermen cling on to that. It's great. And then we fly a flag with their last name and rank on our boats. And at the end of the tournament, we we package the baseball card up, and we package the flag up, and we write a little personal note and what it meant to us for to honor that soldier to their surviving spouse or significant other. And like I said, that's very rewarding for us to be able to tell them what it meant to us to honor that soldier. So I'd say overall, I think there's probably been over probably 16 events in 3 years, and every year we're continuing to find more venues to get into. This year or last year we went to Bassmaster Classic, we went to the FLW Championship, and those are the two biggest bass fishing venues that there are in the United States. I would even say in the world.
Yeah, yeah, I
But
would
then
agree with you.
we go to tournaments that support either wounded warriors or veterans or soldiers themselves, and we do the same thing there. And sometimes the soldier that we're honoring on our boat, sometimes they there's soldiers fishing that tournament that know them, that knew them personally, and it really connects to them that that just being able to remember their friend. We had a guy in Stafford, Virginia, 3 years ago. We were honoring one of his Navy SEAL buddies, and he was so happy and just so thrilled. And we talked about his stories, and it was so healing for him because he was suffering through some PTSD issues as well. But that helped him get through that day, and he was so just relieved that he wasn't forgotten. So that was really rewarding for not only the team but for that soldier as well.
Fantastic, man. That's good stuff. You mentioned before that you are part of the outdoors team for
Yep.
soft survivors. What other teams do you guys have, and what other events and individual processes do you guys have that are going on that are part of the soft survivors organization?
So there's a endurance team as well, and they do some of the tough mudder races. They do some Spartan races, and sometimes some of the surviving spouses go ahead and enter into the competition with them. So that's one of the bigger outdoor programs that there are, that Special Ops Survivors has with them, ranging from the Northeast to Boston, Massachusetts, all the way down to Texas. So we we've really branched out on the East Coast, and we're looking for opportunities to expand that out. Um, but it goes with some vetting, though. We want to make sure we're finding the right guys for the right reasons that want to do this, and it's uh, like I said, it's gratifying. It's very rewarding to be able to do this for our fallen brothers and for their families.
So you guys do openly, I guess the word would be recruit other people to participate. Is that correct?
We do. We do it very carefully. because as you know, it could get big quickly, and if one person does one thing wrong, it looks bad on the whole organization.
That's
So
right.
we want to make sure that the people that want to be part of it are their heart's in the right place, and it takes some vetting and it takes some time. So we try to put guys on a year probation period where we'll invite them to events and be able to bring them up, and we kind of we vet them. So I mean that's how we make sure that the organization stays strong.
Yeah, that's a good plan. There is quite a bit of I don't want to say fraudulent activity that goes on out there, but I think you said it right when you said some people, their heart's got to be in the right place, and intentions might be good. They might be, but they may have extenuating circumstances that cause them to have other things going on that either they can't follow through in everything they're supposed to be doing, or they have a goal in mind that is outside of the same goals as you have. And it doesn't mean their goals are wrong. It just means that they have a different mindset than the organization does. And it is important to find the kind of people that are the right type of people for your organization, because there are so many organizations out there that have gotten that bad reputation, and not bad reputation in they're doing something wrong. It's just that, like you said, their goals are not aligned with the goals of other organizations that they've worked with. So you've mentioned a couple different other organizations. What other organizations has Soft Survivors teamed up with and done some positive effect on the community that you've worked with yourself?
So every year we go up to the Real American Heroes Foundation. They run a tournament up in Stafford, Virginia, and that is another Wounded Warrior type tournament where we take out a soldier fishing for, um, that day, and we take him out there and we fish with him and show him what it's like to be out in the water and have him reconnect with the outdoors, and it helps them get through some tough times, and just allowing them to sit there and talk about their rough times and for somebody to understand. So we do the Real American Heroes, Flying Heroes up in Michigan. They are they're a very far sisterhood organization, but they've reached out to us a few times with some of our soft guys that are up in Michigan that have been having some issues with PTSD, and they've opened their arms to the guys and got them back out into fishing or trout fishing up there, and it's really taken them leaps and bounds than even some of the VA support has done for them. So that's Flying Heroes in Michigan is great. Warriors in the Water, same deal. Taking Fort Bragg soldiers out to Jordan Lake fishing every year. We try to get as many of the Special Ops Survivors outdoors team involved in that. We usually only have 3 to 4 boats because it's so competitive to get in that tournament. You've got to sign up like 5 minutes after the tournament starts,
Right.
or
Right.
the registration starts to even get a boat in there. So we were lucky this year and got 3 boats in. So that's actually happening tomorrow out at Jordan Lake. So we're excited to get out there and take our co-anglers fishing. And Mikey Nadu does a Gold Star tournament for the children of our Gold Star families, and we take them out to Sharon Harris and just take them out there for the day and let them fish and just be out in the outdoors.
Yeah, so you mentioned Mike Nadu. Mike Nadu and I both served together. We were both instructors together, and that's how I actually got in touch with you guys initially. He reached out to me after I was doing one of my shows and said he really liked the show and pushed for you guys to get on. And I initially asked for him to be on. He is good people. So you're Special Ops Survivors. What I'm picking up from you here is that you guys do a lot more than just deal with the families of lost and brothers who've been taken away from us, and that you guys do a lot of work with PTSD also, and with healing with that. And I know we've touched upon a little bit in there, but go ahead and talk to me and our listeners a little bit about how that process goes with you guys, and some of the maybe a good story, a success story of how you've gotten a guy out there in the water who was struggling a little bit, and seeing the transformation that kind of activity does for an individual like that.
I would say probably one of our biggest successes happened this year before Mark passed away. As I talked about, one of our close instructor buddies from up north in Michigan called me, and he hadn't reached out to me in years. So I got a Facebook message from him, and I'm going to keep his name anonymous, but he reached out and he said, "Hey, I'm having a rough time, nightmares, can't sleep, He very short fused and just all the typical symptoms of PTSD and not being able to. He was trying to cope with them, but the VA hotline was not successful. So he knew that Mark and I worked with special ops survivors and reached out and see if we knew anybody. And we reached out to Flying Heroes and asked the same question. Since we knew they were up in Michigan, we asked them, what kind of services are up there besides the VA that can possibly help them. And he within 5 minutes he called Mark back, and it got to me that there's an Eisenhower Center up in Michigan that specifically looks at how the brain functions with PTSD and was able to help. So within 24 hours, the I would say the owner, but the manager of that facility reached out to our old instructor buddy and brought him into the Eisenhower Center and went through one 30-day session with him and asked him to stay because there was more work to be done. Went through a second 30-day session, and that guy is a completely different person.
Right.
That is so. Um, who knows? We maybe saved a life. We don't know what goes. PTSD is not easy. It's not easy to deal with, and sometimes guys feel alone, and they just want to be. They want somebody to talk to, and you know, and that's what it took. It was great to be able to say that he's still up there in Michigan, and now he's going out with Flying Heroes, fishing this fall and this spring, and it's that to me was one of the most um, rewarding situations that I've felt with as far as like a PTSD type scenario.
Yeah, well, I'll even take it a step forward for you, man. It's not that you might have saved the life. You did save life. And what I mean by that is he may never have been at risk of taking his own life. But as a person who's suffered, with PTSD, and, it never goes away. You suffer with it, forever. And it's something you learn to manage. But the life you have when you're suffering from it is not a life, if you know what I'm saying. So the fact that you guys were able to affect a change in him saves the life that, gives him quality of life back. And so in my opinion, it is saving a life, and I applaud you guys for that, because it's hard, man. It's hard, especially when we're on active duty. It's hard enough when you're off active duty, but it's scary when you're on active duty to be reminded of some of the things that our brothers, and for the few regular Army out there, your sisters too, but that they go through, and that we have to deal. It's the same reason why guys like us don't like going into hospitals. There's a constant reminder of what we do, and the fact that we may end up there one day. And PTSD, I think, is one of the scariest things for people, especially guys who don't understand it. They either don't understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling, or the people who don't have it at all are like, "Oh God, am I going to end up like that one day?" Where it's because it really is. It's very hard to watch someone struggle with it, because it's a completely different person from the person that they were. A lot of times you have a guy. He was one of there's been team sergeants that I've known that were some of the most well-known warriors in group, who turned a page one day and began to suffer from the symptoms of PTSD, and you would have many guys who they were like, well, what happened to this guy? He was just, and they don't look down on them. They understand what's going on. We all do. But what we see is the fear of what could happen to any of us, because it is something that everyone's a glass of water, and you don't know what the limit. You don't know if you're a 6-ounce glass, and you don't know if you're a 12-ounce glass, but eventually that water is going to overflow, and it keeps just getting filled up in there, and you never know when your tipping point is going to be, or what's going to be the thing that sparks it. Back to it, yeah, you guys saved a life there. I mean, you saved a life, because if his life is any better, then anything is better than suffering through it, because it really is. It is the worst experience that I can honestly say I've ever felt in my entire life. So bravo for that, and you guys are doing great things. And then for the listeners right now who are sitting at home and going, Jeff, you really take a turn from jackassing around one episode, and then you drop all this on us, and I'm sitting here, and I want to eat the tire on my car as I'm driving to work. So guys, this stuff is all done about bringing awareness. we joke around and mess around and talk about things as a joke, then that heals and helps too. But also, this is the things that are the most important. It's getting out there and doing things that are bringing value to the world and value to the people around you. And guys like Mike Updike, Mike Nadu, and the other people at Soft Survivors are doing that on a day-to-day basis. And these guys are doing it. Some of these guys are doing it while they're still on active duty. And I feel sometimes, as a full-time student, full-time worker, and doing this, that I feel like I'm strap-hung for time. And then I remember how much time I didn't have when I was in, and how much I was gone for so long. And when I was home, I was training or stuff like that. And these guys are doing all this stuff while they're still doing all that. And that's something to be applauded and something to be, emulated by others. So that's why we do these shows, is to inspire people to reach out and help these organizations, and to, inspire people to pick up that, if you feel like you can do something, then get up and do it. Because if you think that you can do something, then you're probably not getting any closer to affecting the situation by just thinking about it. So back now that I've done the break of us being, PTSD sucks and these things, it's that way. That was a little break for the people that listen, just because sometimes we got to joke around, and at the end of it, I'll ask you to give a cool war story that's a little funny, that doesn't throw anyone under the bus or anything like that. But back to it real quick. So if there's people out there who can benefit from your guys' organization, or can get in touch with you guys out there, how would they go about getting in touch with you guys? And I know that you guys are regionally limited, so we're talking about the North Carolina, the East Coastern area is probably where you guys focus most of your attention. But where would they go about getting in touch with one of you guys to see if they can either benefit or become part of the team and get some help from you guys?
Well, so for the surviving spouses or significant others of our fallen soft members, they if they would like to register with Special Ops Survivors, go to specialopssurvivors.org, and they can register as a surviving member. The criteria has changed this year. They've opened it up to not only for spouses, but also to significant others that have made commitments to their soft member across within the enterprise. So a fiance, so that's different. That was a change this year. Also, it was also for Special Ops Survivors. It was usually just for soft soldier that was killed in action or in training. But they've also opened that up to killed in the line of duty. Which is huge for guys that may suffer from a PTSD or something in that realm. If they're still in the line of duty, then those families are eligible. As far as for the fishing team, they could always reach out to myself at updike22@yahoo.com. You can reach me out there, get in touch with my Facebook page, Michael Updike, send me a instant message, and see what they can do to help support Special Ops Survivors, or maybe start up their own fishing team. I will tell you, it is tough. It takes time, and I would say be patient, because it's difficult, and we want to make sure we're doing it for the right reasons. So I would love to talk to anybody that would like to help out. And I've talked to people from Boston all the way down to Texas, and we're getting those guys started to include our Florida team. So it takes time, but it's spreading quickly, and we're helping out those surviving spouses and significant others, which is really what it's all about.
Yeah, true story. So the you guys have any upcoming events that you want to talk about? I know that there were a couple that you mentioned to me on the phone that are coming up with Memorial Day coming, but this, for our listeners' sake, because this should be out before Memorial Day, as long as I get the editing done and get my approval from my bosses. But what kind of events you guys got coming up, or where can guys go if they want to help donate, or give some financial assistance to you guys?
So financial assistance, you can go to specialopssurvivors.org page. There's a donate page on there. If you're interested in sponsoring the team, if you're in a company out there that wants to sponsor the team going to a tournament or doing a fundraiser somewhere, you can IM me on Facebook, wherever, email, or through the Special Ops Survivors website. Get a hold of Carrie Kloss. She can point you in the right direction to help with that. But for the I'm sorry, what was the other question?
The other question was what kind of events you guys have coming up that you guys are going to be at where people can come and see you and get some more information on you and stuff like that. Some of the things like what you were talking to me about on the phone last week.
Mm-hmm. So we have a new event we're doing this year. It's called the WRAL Balloon Festival in Fuquay Arena, North Carolina. And the festival runs all through Memorial Day weekend from the 26th to the 29th. I think our booth opens there at 11 o'clock on Friday, and we'll be there all weekend long to raffle off a flag to honor one of our one of our heroes. We're hoping to have our new Special Ops Survivors hats there also to sell to raise money for Special Ops Survivors. We're selling them at $10 a piece, and again, all that funding goes straight towards the surviving spouses or significant others for events. The summit is coming up this year, and we wanted to bring it to Fayetteville, North Carolina, because that's where that's the home of special operations. So we're bringing the summit here in October, and that's going to be a pretty big event for our surviving spouses, significant others, to get here at Fort Bragg, to the home of the special operations. So those are two big events for special ops survivors. We're also going down to the FLW championship in August, in the beginning of August there, down at Lake Murray, where we'll also have a booth there, and we'll do raffle off another flag and be selling our special ops survivor hats. So by all means, if you guys want to come down and support us, come out and see us. I will probably be posting booth numbers once we get them, but we'd love to see you guys out there.
Now, Mike, the guests won't see this, but since you and me are looking at each other, I see that you're wearing a hat right now. Is that hat that you're wearing one of the Special Ops Survivors hats?
So this one is a prototype. There's only two of these in the United States. I have one, and then Tom Zaneko from up in Minnesota, he has the other. We're modifying our patch this year. We only have 3 stars on our patch. We're adding a fourth for the fourth service. So we incorporate, the Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Army. So we're making sure all 4 services are representative, and we're painting our stars gold to represent our Gold Star families. So this is a prototype of the mesh hats. We also have a full camel hat as well. So they should both be available by Memorial Day. We're hoping at least a couple thousand, and we'll see.
All right, and guys, I'll get Mike here to send me a picture of his hat, and I'll put it in with the show notes, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. And that way, when you go out there and you see this, and it's a sharp looking hat, man. I like it. So, good stuff. So, Mike, now that we've torn on the heartstrings of all of our listeners and really got people to to understand what we've done, we're gonna bring everyone up a little bit. Do you have any stories, or you don't have to give any names or anything, but just maybe a no shit there I was story that'll lighten the mood a little bit as we get ready to close out here, because a lot of these guys, they don't get to hear from guys like us a lot. So some of the things that some of the stories we had when we're sitting around drinking beer around the fire. Remember when so and so did this, and without throwing anyone in the bus, you can change the name of the victims to protect the innocent, if you will. But see if you can squeeze one out there for us, and we'll give everyone a good laugh, or at least a good holy shit.
Well, I've got a few stories. One I'll remain for maybe one of our personal phone calls. But
okay.
we were doing an operation up in eastern Afghanistan. As you know, it's pretty mountainous. And we were rucking in. I would say, we went through one of the border checkpoints, and we thought this operation would be real easy. Weather was looking good for the next. Our CCT told us the weather was looking good for the next 10 days. Sunshine. Mid 40s wintertime. So that was pretty good. And we were going to one of the top peaks of that of the range there, Mester Belgar, if you know where that's at. So we're going out there. It was a probably about a 6 to 8 hour infill. I honestly I can't remember at this point. But we started walking from one of the BCPs up to this mountain, and it was a clear night. But man, Team Sergeant told me I want you to pack double basic load of this and that, and carry the mortar, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And as the mountains there they're not they don't have quite the trails that we have here in our mountains.
And they're definitely not foothills either.
No. So I'm sliding down those shale sides, 3 to 4 feet at a time as I'm trying to climb back up. But we finally get to our OP position, and we're like, finally we get there, and we're setting up our position to watch this village to see if there's any insurgents coming in and out. And all of a sudden we kind of hear this rumble in the distance, and we're like, what the heck? I looked over at the CCT. I said, hey, what was the weather supposed to be? He's like, oh, it's supposed to be clear all 10 days. I was like, okay. And we just listened to it off in the distance, and all of a sudden we start seeing the clouds come in. And I looked over him. I said, hey, I think your weather report was a little bit wrong. So we sat there for 3 days in freezing cold rain to sleet, and we should have packed a little bit heavier. We had no sleeping bags. All we had was space blankets. So that was one of the worst operations I've ever been on. And we by the time we got exfilled, we were begging to get exfilled just because there was a couple guys going into hypothermia, just because it was so cold, and we had no failure to plan. Let's just call it that. So that was probably one of the worst operations I've ever been on a mountainside with freezing rain. And I looked at CCT, and I looked at him. He eventually got he was wounded later in that deployment, and we kind of joked about it. I said, hey, you know what that one's for, right? So hey, but it was an experience, but that he was a great CCT, and I will never let him hold that down. I'll always bring that up to him. So it's one of the funnier stories I have. Some of the other ones are a little bit more on the somber side, but
no, I get
that
it.
was
But the best part about that story is what I get out of that is you can train people a million ways, and you can take us into the worst environments and put people with the best men on earth that fight war. But the weatherman still can be wrong at any time, even if he's a CCT guy. Weatherman can still be wrong.
And you know what he did? I come to find out when we got back, he was looking at the week ahead.
Oh,
so
man.
His SWO had given him the week ahead weather update, and he was briefing that instead of the current weather.
So the question is then, was the next week ahead, was the weather exactly as he put out?
It was. It was
fantastic.
very nice, and it was 40, 50 degrees, just sunny, and yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Right, yeah. It
well,
sure was.
Mr. Mike Updike from Soft Survivors, I want to thank you, man, for coming on the show. I know that you're very busy, with your current job and all the other stuff you got going on, so I appreciate you coming on the show, and we're going to do a good job of getting people out there to know about what you guys are all about, and see if we can get you some attention, some well-deserved attention. From the soft point of view, there's so many regular military units out there that have organizations that they get quite a lot of attention, and my purpose in life right now is to make sure we get those soft organizations the attention that they deserve, because we really are the tip of the spear. No, man, I appreciate you being on, and I will make sure that inside the show notes you guys will be able to get in contact with Mike and his organization, Soft Warriors, and as I always say, guys, you are limited only by yourself. There is nobody in life that can tell you what you can or cannot do. The only person that controls what you do and how you do it is you. Do not allow yourself to be oppressed by your own mind, all right? Just like the Special Forces motto says, free the oppressed. And right now that you're a veteran, go ahead and free your mind from oppressing yourself and get out there and do something. If you think that you can do something to affect change, don't wait for the perfect opportunity to do it. Do it now. Rather have a half-made plan now than a well-made plan after the mission's over. So you guys have a good time. We'll talk to you guys next week. Mike, one last time, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a great opportunity to get, first of all, get to talk to you and, spread the word about Special Ops Survivors. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Right on, brother. Right on, brother. And we'll see you guys next time on Changing Hearts and Minds.
Change your POV and all of its shows can help and heal and even educate. We want you to help us help others. Visit our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/changeyourpov. Become a patron of our network and our mission.